forgot the bear. That's very important. That's very important. He's my mascot. He should be here all the time. Anyway, it looks like yesterday's bad news has turned into today's good news. Yeah, kind of. Kind of. So, I went down to Walmart today. That's why I'm recording this late. Yeah. Anyway, I actually went down to Walmart. I talked to them, and it looks like I read the thing wrong. It looks like I read the thing wrong, and the insulin stuff was covered. So, thank you. So I went and I picked up these pens. I don't know if you've ever seen them or not, but I went and I picked up these pens here. It's the Tresiba brand. Never heard of that before, but whatever. Anyway, I got this. There's 200 units. There's like 3 pens. Yeah, 3 pens. She explained how to use them, but whatever. I don't know. I kind of drawing a blank now, but there are instructions. Huge instruction book thing, right? So I gotta go through all of that before I even think of trying to do that. Look at that. Wow. Anyway, there, we got that. Deal with that later. Put that in. Yeah, what is this? Oh, that's the French one. It's the same thing, only in French. That's what we got to deal with up here in Canada, and I bet you anything the States is the same way with English and Spanish, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I also got the little needles, right? Because they went and they gave me the pens, and then the pharmacist was like, well, you can't use those without these little needles. Yeah, they'd be completely useless without them. But anyway, there's also instructions on how to use these too, and where to stab myself with them. I don't know. I think that's the one thing that I'm really worried about, is that I might poke it in the wrong spot, or I won't get enough insulin, or I'll do something wrong. I don't know. But anyway, I also got this container. Looks like a little garbage can. It's pretty cool. It is I forget what she called it. A sharp safe. There we go. Sharp safe. Right? You open up the top. You put the sharps in there. There you go. And then she said, fill that up and take it back to them, and then they'll dispose of them properly. And I want to do that from now on. Or I want to do that, right? And that way they're disposed of properly and not just thrown in the garbage where anybody can take them. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah. Now for the not so good news. She also said that with those little needles and the pen, I have to rub the thing off, right? And sterilize it with alcohol swabs. And right now, I can't afford to buy alcohol swabs, even though they're like relatively cheap, probably around $5 for a package of them. I don't have that kind of money right now, so I'm gonna have to wait until I get money. Now, the thing with that is I don't want to use these unless I can sterilize them, right? Because that makes so much sense. I want to be able to sterilize them every time I use it so that I'm doing it properly and I'm not contaminating myself or anything like that. So I'm going to have to wait until I can get the alcohol swabs to even start using those. And I don't get money for another 2 weeks. So it's not going to be good, but I got to do what I got to do. I cannot risk getting infected or anything like that. And I'm just going to have to wait. I mean, the good news is I have the stuff here, right? So I can start anytime I get those alcohol swabs. But until then, I can't use this stuff. Or, I mean, I can, but I just don't want to. I don't want to use any of that until I can afford the alcohol swabs so that I can clean them properly before every use. And I'm sure you would agree with that too. I mean, it's not something that I want to do. I don't want to contaminate myself at all. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to, sicker than I already am, but I don't want to get infected or anything like that. So I know I'm just rambling, but that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that I'm using this stuff properly. If I'm going to be injecting this into my system, I want to make sure that I do it properly. Also, it gives me time to do my research, right? She even said to go online onto the website of the tresiba.com and look up exactly how to use it and all the information and everything that I need, right? So I am going to do that. Oh man, $147.44 if I was to pay this out of pocket. Wow, that, and then add that to the $216 or so that I would be paying for everything else, right? That's almost $400 every time I need medication. And that's crazy. That is crazy. I mean, I don't know how people who don't have insurance or are not covered for their medical expenses, I don't know how they can afford that. I mean, I have a cousin who had to quit his job because of his medical condition. He just, even working, he couldn't afford the medication on top of his, on top of his other monthly expenses, right? Like paying for his home, paying for, like all of his bills and stuff like that. He couldn't afford the medication on top of that. So he had to quit his job just so that he would be covered by the government to afford getting the medication that he needs. Like, sure, his medication is way more than the $400 that I'm, for mine. But still, like, this is what we live in. We live in a society, right? Like, this affects the US, Canada, pretty much any country, right? Anybody that needs medication, right? This pretty much affects everybody. So something has to be done about healthcare, like globally, globally, not just locally, but globally. Something needs to be done about healthcare, to make it more affordable for people, right? So we don't have to quit our jobs just so our medication is covered by the government. Like the government should be covering medication for everybody, regardless if they're working or not. Just so that they get the essential, like I'm talking about essential medications, right? Like medications that are designed for disabilities or conditions that require medication to either stabilize it or combat it or, get rid of it, whatever, right? Because those medications, right? The absolute essential medications to help a person live. I'm not talking about every single medication that's out there for everything, right? But the ones that the government deems absolutely essential for people to live a normal life with the conditions that they have, right? If those medications were automatically covered by the government, regardless if you're working or not, that would make everybody's life that much easier, right? And then the non-essential medications, that you need for other, like just like here and there, like chronic pains, asthma, stuff like that, right? Well, okay, maybe not asthma because of that, blah, blah, blah. But, like just like pain medication that you need, right? Like after surgery or something like that. Like let's say you get some teeth pulled, right? And the doctor prescribes like Tylenol or some kind of anti-inflammatory medication or whatever, something that you just need to take temporarily just for that little pain. Yeah, charge the patient. Charge the patient for that, right? Because that's probably like about $10 right there. Wow, right? Right? Like if you need Tylenol 3 with codeine, like I know that they don't sell those on the over the counter, right? So if you need that for a specific pain temporarily, right? Like a temporary medication, right? If you just need that temporarily, and let's say a bottle is like $15, right? Charge the patient for that. $15. I'm sure people can afford that. I mean, then again, today, those cotton or those alcohol swabs, right? That's not covered. And that was only about $10 right there. But I didn't have the money, right? So, but those aren't temporary, though. Those are something that I'm going to need for as long as I'm doing this insulin thing, right? So I'm going to need that as a prescribed medication. Cover it. If the government covered that, that would save a lot of money for a lot of people, not just me. Anybody that needs alcohol swabs to disinfect machinery that they need to help improve their situation. Cover that, right? Because you're going to need that every time you renew your prescriptions on everything else, right? So cover that. That way the patient doesn't have to pay for that because they need it, right? But if they only need it one time, temporarily, charge them, right? Charge them the $10. Right? Or as the pharmacist said, you can get alcohol swabs cheaper in other places, right? Like anywhere that sells that. Yeah. Go to the dollar store, buy a bottle of alcohol and cotton swabs. There you go. That should cost you what? $3 or $4 right there. That's pretty much all I need is like $5. And then I can, then I can buy those. A friend of mine sent me $5 the other day. If he had sent that to me today, I would have spent it on the alcohol and the swabs. Or like little cotton balls and the bottle of alcohol. $5 at the dollar store. That's all I need is $5. But no, he sent it to me way earlier when I wasn't even thinking about that. And spent it on a coffee and a donut. But whatever. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, people with disabilities aren't going to get far in life if the pharmaceutical companies keep charging them, right? I don't know if it's up to the manufacturers of this medication or the government, but whoever's in charge of charging people and charging patients for medication, and this is like globally, not just in Canada, not just in the States, but every single country, like China, Spain, Philippines, Russia, anywhere, China, Japan, any country that you can think of right now would go into this little blank spot. Beep. Anyway, aside from that, every single person in the entire world should be, regardless of age, sex, gender, nationality, race, whatever you want to call it, right? Every single person in the entire world that needs medication should be automatically covered, no matter what. No matter where they live, no matter who they are, cover their medication. What the? Seriously, I forgot to turn off my phone. Hang on. Forgot to silence the phone. It's a Manitoba Moose game day. Woohoo! Who are they playing? The Griffins. It's a home game, right? Because I couldn't get back into the arena on my way back from Walmart. Yeah. But aside from that, right? Like everybody deserves everybody deserves their medication covered by whatever government is ruling over them. Right? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If you agree with that, share this video around. Let people know. Eventually it's going to get, the attention of the government or whatever. I mean, if you're watching this and you know somebody that's in the government, preferably somebody that's in charge of charging patients for medication, like who to cover and who not to cover, share it with them. Send them the link. Say, hey, check out this video. This guy's got some good ideas. It's true. It's true. Like, even if I was working right now, right? If I was able to work, number one, if I was able to work, I wouldn't need all this medication. So this point might not even matter. But if I was able to work and I was still have the same condition, I still needed the same pills, everything, and I was still, and I had to pay $400 for my medication every time I needed it, that's not going to work. That wouldn't work. You know, depending on the job that I have, I wouldn't make enough. Right? Like I might make enough to actually pay my rent, my bills, my medication, but then I wouldn't have anything left over for groceries or anything. You know, like I collect toys. I wouldn't be able to buy those. I wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to do anything or much of anything. This is why every single medication on the planet, regardless of who is taking it or what they need it for, should be covered by the government. Like, seriously, this needs to stop. People need to get better. And if they have to pay out of pocket just to live a normal, healthy life, that's not right. That is not right. Because you're giving up everything else that you could be spending that money on. You know? Have the government cover the thing, right? But instead of getting the money, I just thought of this. Right? Because I know what you're going to say. Oh, yeah, let's just make all the taxpayers pay for that. No. No. Where the government should get the funding from to cover all of this medication. Tax the doctors that are making all the money from the patients. Right? There you go. Right? Because they make money to stay in business. So they get that money, take a percentage of their check and put it into the government funding for the medication that their patients need. Then that way, in a way, the patients are paying for their own medication, but it's not coming out of their personal money that they have for other things. Right? So it's not on top of anything. Why is that? Oh, my light is messing up again. This is why you don't buy lights from the dollar store. That's crazy. Are all of my lights going to start doing this? The one by the front door has already done that. A light bulb that I had in the bathroom was always flickering. I can't afford to buy them anywhere else, though. So I'm going to have to put up with that. But anyway, aside from that, don't charge patients for medication. That's all I have to say. Right? Make medication affordable and accessible to everybody that needs it. Right? So they're not waiting until they can afford something that they need, something that's essential, right? Like, that's what I'm doing here. Even though I got all of this stuff covered, the alcohol swabs were not covered, so I have to wait until I can afford to get them before I can even use this stuff that's supposed to help me get better. It's the current system that we live in. That needs to be changed. Needs to be changed for the better. Right? Healthcare as a whole needs to be changed for the better. Yeah. Anyway, I got a pantry haul tomorrow. I'll be back. See you then. Actually, no. I won't see you. I don't like that when people say that. Does that make sense to you? I can't see you, right? So saying, see you in the next one doesn't work. Doesn't work because I won't see you. You'll see me. But I can't see you. That's why I don't say that. But a lot of content creators do. And just, I don't know. It just confuses me when people say that. So, with that being said, I'll see you. See? I don't understand why people do that. I'll see you in the next video. No. Because number one, you can't see the person that you're talking to. Number two, you won't see them in the next video because they're not part of your content. So I don't understand why people say that. That's why I always say, I'll be back tomorrow.